colossal fissure, estimated to be up to 50 feet deep, suddenly appeared in Kenya. These immense cracks are physical proof of the Earth's power, resembling ancient canyons sculpted by potent earthquakes. For countless centuries, the Euphrates River has been linked to prophecies recorded long before the advent of modern scientific understanding. Now, an unprecedented event has occurred beneath its surface. A violent rupture has uncovered a chamber that was never intended for human eye. It was sealed, guarded, and only mentioned in forbidden writings. Inside, there are warnings inscribed in numerous languages, chains that no human civilization could have forged, and indications that something once confined there is now gone. Since that moment, the earth has begun to tremble. Strange sightings have increased, and a wave of apprehension has spread across borders. Before we continue, please like, comment, and subscribe, as what you are about to hear may be the clearest sign yet of Jesus' imminent return. The Euphrates, once among the most powerful rivers of the ancient world, sustained civilizations for over 6,000 years. It nourished the lands of Sumer, Babylon, and Assyria, flowing past cities mentioned in Scripture, bringing both life and divine judgment. In the Bible, the Euphrates is more than just a river. It serves as a boundary, a witness, and a prophetic indicator. Revelation foretells its drying in the final days, setting the stage for subsequent events. Now, satellite data and on-the-ground reports confirm what locals have been whispering. Large sections of the river are rapidly receding, revealing parched riverbeds, sunken ruins, and land unseen for generations. Villagers residing along its banks describe an unnaturally swift drop in water levels, inconsistent with mere seasonal drought or dam operations. Ancient stone foundations and carved walls have emerged from the mud, while animals refuse to approach certain exposed areas. Scientists offer explanations involving climate pressure and upstream controls, yet none can account for the sudden sinkholes forming beneath the river itself. The Euphrates, long constrained, appears to be receding, as if to expose something it had kept concealed. Then, at 2:17 a.m., without warning, the ground shuddered. A violent 6.8 magnitude deep-focus earthquake struck the Iraq-Turkey border, originating far beneath any known active fault system. Seismologists were immediately alarmed, as the region lacks the tectonic structure necessary to generate such a rupture at that depth. The seismic signature was sharp, concentrated, and directional, suggesting an upward force from beneath the Earth's crust, rather than the grinding of tectonic plates. Sensors across the Middle East detected an unusual low-frequency resonance following the quake, more akin to a sustained vibration than a natural aftershock. When satellite scans arrived hours later, the data defied conventional geology. Instead of a chaotic fracture pattern, analysts identified a perfectly linear rupture stretching nearly 60 miles underground, straight, continuous, and symmetrical. Several geologists privately conceded that the formation resembled an engineered excavation more than earthquake damage. Even more unsettling, the rupture ran directly beneath sections of the Euphrates basin, precisely where the river had recently receded the most. Thermal imaging added another layer of mystery. Deep within the fault line, satellites detected geometric heat signatures, rectangular clusters emitting uniform warmth, spaced at precise intervals. No known natural process creates such ordered heat formations. Military analysts confirmed that the structures were not modern infrastructure. Whatever they were, they appeared ancient, far older than any recorded construction. As images began circulating online, passages from Revelation rapidly spread, particularly references to things hidden beneath the earth. Governments swiftly moved to contain the situation. Iraq and Turkey disputed jurisdiction. Military patrols sealed off the rupture zone, and drones circled overhead. Along the fault, strange, smooth, dark openings appeared, leading into chambers untouched for millennia, now exposed for the first time. The drying of the Euphrates was just the beginning. The earth itself had begun to open. When the first exploration team ventured into one of the newly exposed openings, they immediately realized this was no ordinary cavern. The entrance itself was carved with uncanny mathematical precision. Edges were flawlessly smooth, angles exact, and curves repeated in ratios that modern engineers recognized as advanced geometric sequences. There were no tool marks, no fractures, and no signs of erosion. It looked less like stone shaped by time and more like matter arranged by conscious design. Several researchers quietly admitted that the entrance resembled a constructed threshold rather than a collapsed grotto. Inside, the walls revealed something far more disturbing. Etched into the stone was a descending sequence of symbols arranged vertically, each layer subtly altered from the one above it. Linguists noted that the structure resembled a countdown, not numerical in the modern sense, but symbolic, progressing toward a final point at the chamber floor. The deeper the team moved, the fewer symbols appeared, as if time itself were being measured downward. No known ancient culture is documented to have used such a system. Then came the warnings. Across multiple wall sections, the same message appeared repeatedly in 17 different languages, all conveying the identical meaning. Do not unseal. Bound here until the appointed time. Some languages were ancient and partially lost. Others predated known writing systems entirely. What most unsettled experts was the consistency. The phrasing did not evolve across eras, but was exact, as if copied from a single source over immense spans of time. This suggested coordination, possibly instruction, rather than organic cultural development. As the team ventured deeper, the environment itself began to transform. Temperatures plummeted sharply, far more rapidly than expected at that depth. Instruments recorded air compositions inconsistent with any known cave system. Oxygen levels fluctuated. Trace elements appeared that should not naturally exist, and some sensors failed entirely. Several team members reported pressure in their ears and an overwhelming sense of unease, despite no visible threat. Then the vibrations began. Beneath the chamber floor, a deep, rhythmic pulsing could be felt through the researchers' boots. It was not random. It followed a steady interval, slow, deliberate, almost like a heartbeat. Seismic equipment confirmed that the vibrations originated from below the explored level, deeper than the team was authorized to descend. No tectonic movement was recorded at the time. Whatever caused the motion was localized and active. After hours of analysis, the conclusion became unavoidable. Early humans could not have engineered this site. The precision, the materials, the linguistic coordination, and the environmental anomalies exceeded the capabilities of any known ancient civilization. This was not a temple, a tomb, or a mine. It was a sealed chamber, built for containment, not for veneration. And according to the evidence inscribed on its walls, it was never meant to be opened. Stay with us, because what lies deeper beneath this chamber changes everything that comes next. At the heart of the sealed chamber, investigators discovered an arrangement that defied all known categories of ancient construction. 4 massive restraints were positioned precisely along the cardinal axes: north, east, south, west. 4 cardinal axes south, east, and west. The symmetry was exact. The spacing was deliberate. This was neither decorative placement nor structural support. The layout suggested containment, as if whatever had once occupied the space was meant to be held in perfect balance, unable to shift or converge. The chains themselves immediately alarmed metallurgists. Each restraint was composed of links far larger than anything practical for human use. Yet, each link appeared seamless, formed as a single continuous unit rather than forged and welded. Under magnification, there were no joints, no fractures, no layering, just uniform density throughout. This alone posed a problem. To create metal in this form would require sustained temperatures exceeding 3,000 degrees Celsius, far beyond the capabilities of ancient furnaces, kilns, or any known pre-industrial technology. Chemical analysis deepened the mystery. The alloy did not match bronze, iron, steel, or any transitional metal known from antiquity. Trace elements were present in ratios that should not naturally occur, bonded at a molecular level that suggested controlled, intentional manipulation. Several experts privately admitted that even modern industry would struggle to reproduce the material without advanced containment systems. More unsettling still was the temperature of the chains. Despite the surrounding chamber being unnaturally cold, the metal radiated warmth. Not residual heat, but active thermal emission, steady and localized, as if the chains had recently been under immense strain. Instruments detected subtle fluctuations, implying energy transfer rather than simple heat retention. This raised an unspoken question among the team. What had been bound here, and how recently had it been present? The stone anchors told a similar story. Each chain was secured into the bedrock with massive sockets carved deep into the chamber floor. Yet several of these anchors were fractured outwards, not collapsed inwards. The stone had split under force applied from within the restraint radius, suggesting intense pulling, sustained and directional. The damage pattern indicated strength far beyond human capacity, even with mechanical assistance. As documentation continued, scholars could not ignore the parallels emerging from ancient texts. Revelation chapter 9 details 4 entities, kept in confinement and held captive until a precise moment, linked to the area around the Euphrates. The quantity, location, and the state of their bonds were too congruent to be dismissed as mere happenstance. These weren't metaphorical chains. They served a practical purpose, meticulously fashioned to contain something formidable. Now they lay vacant. As researchers broadened their examination beyond the primary restraints, they initially observed a subtle detail: disturbances in the fine layer of dust covering the chamber's floor. This dust was ancient, untouched for an immense period, deposited uniformly like motionless sediment. Yet, cutting through it were 4 distinct paths of footprints, leading away from the chains and towards separate openings in the chamber walls. Each trail veered in a different direction, suggesting that what had been held there departed with purpose, not in haste. This scene echoed an ancient scriptural admonition: "Release the 4 angels who are bound." These words were penned long before contemporary science possessed the vocabulary to describe what now lay before them. The footprints were unlike any attributed to humans. Each measured about 15 inches in length, substantially larger than an average adult foot, yet noticeably slender and elongated. The depth of the impressions was considerable. Through pressure distribution analysis, scientists estimated that each entity would have weighed between 400 and 500 pounds. Despite this, the stride patterns revealed no signs of instability or exertion. Whatever created these tracks moved with precision, familiarity, and power, effortlessly supporting its own weight. This description unsettlingly correlated with biblical accounts of beings possessing immense power, unconstrained by human limitations. Even more unsettling was the state of the dust itself. Around the footprints, particles were partially fused at the edges, as though exposed to localized heat or energy displacement during movement. This discounted any recent human interference. The impressions were not fresh in the conventional sense, but they were more recent than the prior tension state of the chains. Simply put, the tracks materialized subsequent to the failure of the restraints. Revelation 9:15 refers to beings prepared for the hour and day and month and year, released not by chance, but by design. Within days of these discoveries, accounts began to surface from border towns near the rupture zone. Residents spoke of tall, shadowy figures observed moving in the darkness, often at the periphery of sight, never fully illuminated.